Hi team, we're on the last chapter of our beautiful, brilliant book. Gosh, I feel quite sad to be finishing it, but what an absolute joy it's been, and it's so kept our spirits up. So thank you hugely to Jill Murphy for writing this amazing, magical book. And for Mildred for keeping us brave and courageous during this time. So we're at the last chapter. We last left them with Mildred being towed back by the broomstick with Miss Hardbroom still in the boat, and Maud and Enid had come to the rescue, but Miss Cackle was waiting to hear an explanation. So let's see what happens next. The magician arrived back early when he received word of Miss Hardbroom's accident. He materialised in a swirl of brilliant coloured smoke in the middle of the courtyard, dusted himself down and strode indoors, watched from the windows of their dormitory by the members of Form 2. Here he is, looking particularly majestic and magical. Mildred, Maud and Enid climbed down from the window and sat in a row on Mildred's mat, each of them cuddling their cat. "At least I've got Tabby back for the day," said Mildred gloomily, "though they're bound to be absolutely raving after last night. Goodness knows what'll happen." Here are the girls clumping together. Ethel looked very nervous too, which was most unusual for her. "If any of you say anything about me pushing the boat out," said Ethel, I'll... "Oh, it's all right, Bossy Boots," said Maud. "No one's going to sneak on you. You're the sneak around here, remember?" Maud could be quite withering when she wanted to. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. They all leapt to their feet and stood by their assorted beds, thinking that it must be Miss Cackle, as Miss Hardbroom was in bed, tucked up with a hot water bottle, a bandaged head, and a pile of warm blankets. But it wasn't Miss Cackle. It was the magician, and to everyone's surprise, he was smiling and looking just as genial as the day they had arrived. "Mildred, my dear," he said, "come with me." He led Mildred through the maze of passages to Miss Hardbroom's room, where, to Mildred's relief, mingled with terror, Miss Hardbroom was wide awake, sitting propped up in bed with a huge white bandage around her head. Here she is. Oh gosh. Miss Cackle was perched on a chair on the other side of the bed. Miss Cackle smiled in welcome, but Miss Hardbroom looked grim. "Come in, Mildred," said Miss Cackle. "You'll be relieved to hear that Miss Hardbroom is perfectly all right after her terrible ordeal in the boat. I'm afraid she'll have to spend the rest of the holiday in bed after such a nasty knock to the head. But I'm sure you girls will be able to cope for a few days away from the firm guidance of your form mistress." "Oh, yes, Miss Cackle," agreed Mildred, sounding a little too eager. Miss Hardbroom shot a menacing glance in her direction. I mean, contrived Mildred hastily, "of course we'll soldier on and do our best, but it will be much more difficult without Miss Hardbroom at the helm." "All right, Mildred," muttered Miss Hardbroom, "there's no need to overdo it." "Now then, Mildred," said Miss Cackle, rising from her chair and pushing her glasses up on top of her head. "About yesterday's little escapade." "Oh dear," thought Mildred. "Here we go. If you hadn't disobeyed orders and brought that dreadful cat, which should have been in the kitchen catching mice," said Miss Cackle, looking serious, "Miss Hardbroom would not have climbed into the boat to investigate when she saw it at the window, thereby avoiding the fall which knocked her out." "No, Miss Cackle," agreed Mildred, looking at the floor. "However," continued Miss Cackle, "neither would you have discovered the chest which you brought back from the rock. which is, after all, the very same treasure described to you by the magician in the folk tale about the shipwrecked sailor. Yes, Mildred, the chest is packed with gold coins and the most gorgeous jewellery. Mildred didn't know how to react. She looked around the room, first at Miss Cackle, who was looking thrilled and excited, then at the magician, who was smiling at her with a vaguely fond expression, and finally at Miss Hardbroom, who looked as if she would like to expel her worst pupil on the spot. "What will happen to Tabby?" she asked. The magician stepped forward and put an arm around Mildred's shoulders. "You must be so proud of this child, Miss Cackle," he said, "and especially you, Miss Hardbroom." Here he is, putting his hand around Mildred's shoulders. "Especially you, Miss Hardbroom, after she saved your life. Most girls would want to know if they could have the treasure, but not this girl. The only thing she wants in the world is her little cat, and I can't see any reason why she shouldn't have it. Can you?" "Well, I really don't think," began Miss Hardbroom, but the magician cut across her. "I mean to say, Miss Hardbroom, the cat actually wrapped itself around your neck to keep you warm all night. It's the least reward we can give to Mildred, to let her keep that little lifesaver." "If you think so, Your Honour," said Miss Hardbroom, trying to look gracious. "And as for the treasure," said the magician, "there's enough to do all repairs to the castle here, and to give you a substantial amount for Miss Cackle's academy." "Oh, Mr. Rowan Webb!" exclaimed Miss Cackle. "How simply wonderful! I've been wondering how we were going to pay for the new roof on the west wing. Perhaps there'll even be enough left for a swimming pool." Here she is, looking extremely pleased. "Can I go and tell Tabby the good news?" asked Mildred, anxious to leave the room before any more questions were asked. "Of course," said Miss Cackle. "I'll escort you back to your dormitory," said the magician. Just outside the dormitory door, the magician handed a small package to Mildred. "This is a little present from the treasure chest," he said. "I thought you ought to have a memento, and it seemed rather appropriate. I still haven't forgotten how you rescued me last year. Enjoy the rest of your stay, my dear. It's bound to be a little easier with your form mistress recovering in her room." The dormitory was empty, except for the cats. Everyone had been called to the hall for a late breakfast. Mildred could hardly wait to join them and share the wonderful news about Miss Hardbroom being out of action for the rest of the holiday. Before she left the room, she curled up for a quick hug of Tabby and to find out what was in the magician's package. It was a gold chain with a delightful pendant composed of 2 golden frogs, one with emerald for eyes and the other with rubies. They were sitting solemnly facing each other, shaking hands. Here it is. What a gorgeous memento of a present. Mildred put it on and slipped it out of sight beneath her shirt as a secret good luck charm, where she kept it forever, even when she grew up. Certainly, that day, as she raced down the sunlit stairs to find her friends and tell them all her news, she felt like the luckiest girl in the world, instead of the worst witch in school. The end. And here she is, skipping down the stairs. Oh gosh, I feel like the luckiest girl in the world to have read this. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Oh, what a treat it's been to read. It's been really, really special. Sending so much love to everybody. Stay safe and God bless.